I'm Diane McGarry with Drake Arts. With me today are co-host Tom McGarry, author Sudha Balagopal, and ASL interpreter Connie. Sudha's fiction straddles continents and cultures, blending thoughts and ideas from the East and the West. Her highly commended novella in Flash, Things I Can't Tell Amma, was published by Ad Hoc Fiction in 2021. She's the author of a novel, A New Dawn, which is wonderful. I just finished reading it, and 2 short story collections. There are 7 notes and Missing and Other Stories. Her collection of flash fiction is forthcoming from Alternating Current Press in April of 2024. Her short pieces appear in CRAFT, Smokelong, and Split Lip, among other journals. Nominated for several awards, her work is published in Best Microfiction 2021, 2022, and in Best Small Fictions 2022 and 2023. Recently, her story won the CRAFT Amelia Gray 2K contest. When she's not writing, she teaches yoga. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sudha. I'm glad to have you with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Sure. Now, I've never heard of flash fiction. Can you tell us what that is?
Flash has been around a long time, but the term flash fiction kind of has caught on in the last decade or so. It used to be called short. It used to be called postcard. It used to be called miniatures, sudden fiction. It was called all kinds of things, but basically it's fiction that is under 1,000 words, but even that is long. Everybody's very familiar with Hemingway's 6-word story.
Sure.
Baby shoes never used. For sale, baby shoes never used. So that's a 6-word flash. So it's just the term for a short story, but it's not just a short story. It's a story that has a major punch within that little space that it occupies. It has a lot of empty spaces, which means it allows the reader to leap the ideas that are contained under the lines. And it relies basically and fundamentally on the fact that readers are intelligent and they don't need to be told every single thing. And typically it is a form that allows for so much experimentation. I've written you can write stories that are not necessarily a typical story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. These are stories that are memorable because they're so impactful. And I think that's the best way I can explain what flash is.
No, that's great. And I actually like that you're saying you don't spell out everything, because actually recently my husband, daughter, and I were on a cross-country trip, and we were choosing books to listen to together as we drove hours and hours a day. And there was one book that we just couldn't handle. The story was really interesting and intriguing, but the author kept on over-explaining things. You know, I would say it would be, I hate this term, but mansplaining in a way, but it was a male author, but he kept on regurgitating and repeating it. It was like, okay, I'm not 12. This isn't young adult fiction. And even if it were, young adults aren't that stupid.
No, they're not. So yeah, fundamentally, I mean, a flash piece is not something you write in a flash. You might take a long time to write it.
Yes.
But you can read it in a short, you can consume it in a short amount of time, but then it stays with you. Or ideally, a good flash should stay with you. And because of everybody being so busy and using all their little devices, you're waiting in the doctor's office, you get to read a story that's like say 500 words in 10 minutes, and you think about it, it leaves an impact, and it's just the right size for that moment in time.
Sure. You wanted to share some of your works with us. Would you like to read one of them now?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to read something. So this will be, I think we all, this might not make sense to somebody who's very young. This is called Summer of 76.
A good year.
A good year, yes. That's why I say it won't make sense to somebody who's very young. This is a story that appeared in the main review and is going to be in Best Small Fictions for 2023. So,
good.
Yeah, Summer of 76. I love Ali McGraw. I love her hair in the movie Love Story. Ma doesn't. She accosts us, my friends and me, as we emerge from the theater that screens English movies. I'm in a celluloid trance as she grips my arm with her work-worn fingers and drags me home, where she stands me in front of the ironing board. She stomps over to the balcony, retrieves the clothes drying on the line. 2 saris, 2 blouses, 2 petticoats, 1 housecoat, 1 nightgown, 3 sets of undergarments, 2 pairs of socks, 1 bedsheet, and 3 towels. After dumping the pile on the bed, she instructs me to iron them all. Everything gets ironed in our Chennai household, even handkerchiefs. These foreign movies with kissing, whistling, and all, it will teach you God knows what. And this on the first day of your summer holidays? From tomorrow, you're going to science and math tutoring. Let's get you ready for class 11. She retrieves some rupees from the cupboard, tucks them inside her sari blouse. Picking up her red and white woven plastic tote bag, she announces she's leaving for the bazaar and slams the door behind her. I swallow to ease the knots in my throat, turn the knob on the iron to the highest setting. I press the hot iron on the washed towels, fold and refold them into haphazard squares. I iron the expanse of the bedsheet, crinkly, crackly from drying in the sun. Ma cannot understand love between a man and a woman, or perhaps she doesn't believe in it. Ma's marriage was arranged. Besides, my father died so long ago, she's probably forgotten what it's like to be married. I only know my father from old photographs. When I witness the beauty of relationships on film, my heart expands and knocks against my ribcage as if it wants to burst out and dance. Takita, takita, takita. Love Story's theme song resounds in my head as I spread my sari on the ironing board. I crave Ali McGraw hair, parted in the middle, hanging gorgeously straight. My tresses are the opposite, too wavy, too frizzy, too wild, unless confined in braids. I undo my plaits, part my hair in the middle, separating my hair into 3 segments. I tie up 2 bunches with hair ties and lay the third over the just folded towel. I run the clothes iron over the length of my hair, repeat the painstaking process section by section. As I iron Ma's sari, my straightened, silky soft hair swishes on my shoulders. I release the iron, stand in front of the mirror, toss my hair left, right, left. A sharp odor tickles my nose. I shout, no, 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 no. The machines left a triangular burn mark on Ma's cotton sari. Oh, Ma will say, see, this is what happens when you fill your head with rubbish. I frantic unfurl the sari, then refold the 6-yard length, tucking the heat-singed shape into the innermost layers, finish as I hear the front door open. At first, Ma stares, eyes wide, eyebrows like arches. She sniffs. What's that smell? She sniffs again, then screams, what have you done? You've ruined your beautiful locks. Oh my God, you'll go bald. She pauses, declares her final nightmare. Who will marry you then? How will I ever find you a young man? She drops the grocery bag, leaps into action, and heats coconut oil with 4 grains of rice. Ooh. She rubs and rubs the warm oil into my scalp and hair, while the hair soaks She switches on the water heater. She seats me on a stool, mixes shikakai powder with water, works the paste through the density of my hair, and finally rinses off the mixture. After, she steers me to a chair on the balcony where I must stay until my hair dries. She arranges my hip-length, wavy hair to hang curtain-like over the chair back. I sit on the balcony until the sun goes down. I sit and run the scenes from Love Story through my mind. I sit and think about Ali McGraw's hair cascading over her shoulders. I sit and tight braid my hair, finish by securing the length with a tie. Thank you. And that's the story.
I love that.
Thank you.
The rebellion and the confinement of parents, right?
Yes.
Of youth and the confinement of parents and tradition and culture. It's very neat. How did you start writing? What brought you to writing as a skill and an art?
I've been writing all my life. I had my first poem published when I was 10 years old. And of course, I haven't written a poem since then. I mean, that was it. I didn't write fiction for a long time. I trained to be a journalist. I wrote fact for a very long time. And then much later, when my children were home, so I couldn't really meet deadlines. So I got away from journalism and I started writing fiction. And I thought I knew how to write, but I discovered I didn't. So I had to, because there are completely different skills that you possess. Writing, fact is very different from writing fiction.
Sure.
So I had to train myself. I took a few classes and started writing fiction, and it was not easy. It was pretty difficult to get even one story published. It took a while. And then most of it is just doing the work and learning more until you can hone your skill. And Flash, pretty much I arrived at very, very late. I mean, I would say until 2016, I wrote much longer fiction. So it's only in 2016 that I started writing Flash. And then since then, I've been writing mostly Flash, some long fiction, but mostly Flash.
Well, A New Dawn is not Flash. It's a long.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That was the last novel that I wrote. So, yeah.
Did you say you were going to be writing another novel or no?
No, I have started writing longer fiction. I mean, when I say longer, it's not the 1,000-word limit. 1,000 for Flash is very long, considered long. So I'm just going to have something published that's about 2,000 words. So I'm slowly making my way back up to the longer form, which can also be very interesting because it allows you to explore in different ways. So yeah, I mean, I love Flash. I love the immediacy of Flash. I love the urgency that it offers you. And I'm trying to see if I can incorporate some of that in longer stories without exhausting the reader, because it's longer.
Yeah, getting that different type of balance would be a real challenge.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I know what a 600-word piece is, but when you talk 1,000-word and 2,000-word, can you put that in? I'd have more of a sense if you said pages than words. I don't know. And I'm sure.
Let's see. It would be 4 pages. 1,000 words would be about 4 pages. Yeah. And even that is considered long because I've written stories that are 50 words, 100 words.
Yeah.
Yeah, 200. And the Bath Flash Fiction Contest, which is like the international Flash Fiction Contest, they do this every quarter. Their limit is 300 words.
Oh. So
I have written, I have had, I was shortlisted last time, and then before that I was highly commended. So it's a different kind of thinking where you think narrow and small and focused.
Yes.
To get your thoughts really, really crystallized, where nothing is wasted, not a single word. Everything is distilled to the very essence of what you're trying to say.
Yes. Yeah.
Your description earlier reminded me very much of haiku, which of course is very short, but extremely structured. And as I understand it, everything is done indirectly by reference and implication. So
Yes.
your description of what you do very much reminded me of that.
Exactly. But there is a danger if you're too obscure that people don't get your story.
Yeah.
So this has to be a story. Something has to happen. It cannot be a vignette. It cannot be just a beautiful picture. You have to have something happen. The only thing is you don't have the time or the luxury to describe the characters, what kind of eyes they have, what kind of hair they. You don't have, unless it's like in this story, the hair was essential to the story, so that's why it stayed. But so you get a sense of the people in the story by just what they're doing or what the central problem is. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but yeah. And we don't have time for setting either. You don't have the time for describing where, but you get a sense of it. You definitely get a sense of where. I'm hoping that from that previous story I just read, you get a sense that it's not set in this country, it's somewhere else, and there's this cultural conflict, and all of that I'm trying to give it to the reader in it's like 691 words. It's not very long.
Yeah, I got a very strong sense. It was a different time. I was alive during that time and kind of knew what was going on in the world, but a very different place and a very different culture, a very different set of expectations, even though it was, parent-child, mother-daughter, completely different social system and expectations. So very
Yeah. And even the description of ironing everything.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, my grandparents used to iron everything, their underwear and towels and everything, and it was beyond me. I mean, my mom didn't do that, but my grandparents did. So there's a reference point that I have an understanding.
It seems strange now.
So is the shortest stuff the hardest to write? Is that a fair description?
Yes and no. If you get the kernel, if you can get the kernel of what you're trying to say, then short is easy. So typically what I do is I write long. So what you see at the end is what comes after the excision. I just get rid of so many things, and then you don't realize how much you can get rid of once the story is down. And then you see the basic elements that are necessary will stay, and what's not necessary will go, and the most impactful parts are what remain. So most of Flash is about editing. Most of it is about really getting rid of everything that's extraneous and finding. It's like a sculptor.
I get the
he just keeps getting rid of everything that's not necessary, and then you reveal what's inside of that stone. And basically that's what we do in Flash. I mean, I've written stories that started 2,000 words, get rid of things. So many paragraphs go away, so many words go away, so many unnecessary. You don't realize you don't need the that and the very and the just and I wonder, and so many of the tags, like even he says is not necessary because you know who's talking. So and then you just marvel at how the story is able to talk even without all of those extra words.
Mm-hmm.
So most of Flash is about getting rid of the extra stuff.
Well,
The unnecessaries.
That's cool and very surprising to me.
Yeah, I do write a lot more than what you see.
So you had one more you wanted to share with us. Would you like to do that now?
Sure. Let's see.
I appreciate your writing.
I'm still old-fashioned. I do. Sorry?
I said, I appreciate your whetting our appetite for the reading in November. This is great.
So this is called The Year of the Flood. And it has the style called the anaphora. It's a repeated first line. And you will see it when I read it. The Year of the Flood. It's the year my friend Sia and I practiced French kissing on the mirror. The year we shave our tufty underarms with a rusty razor and tweeze our eyebrows into surprised arches. The year she writes letters to the young man next door. The year I help her sprinkle emotion, offering words like yearning and longing. The year our mighty Ganges shrugs off her embankments after a long, hot summer. The year we fall in love with love. It's the year we drool over Mr. Darcy and moan for Romeo and Juliet in our textbooks. The year we are subjected to relentless coaching, English, Hindi, math, chemistry, history, physics, even as we crave golden mangoes and juicy stories. The year the open-air terrace becomes our escape as we thirst for evening breezes and neighborhood dalliances. The year we notice a man slipping in the dark of dusk to visit the beautiful widowed lady at the end of the street, and Sia asks, how can love be illicit? It's the year we read and reread tattered copies of Mills and Boon romances borrowed from the circulating library. The year biology homework languishes on our desks, even as my ma, a school principal, repeats, procrastination is the thief of time. The year we ignore her, fret over shoulder-sweeping earrings and hard-to-find clogs instead. The year we splish-splash through puddled streets in the torrential monsoon rain. It's the year I stopped playing Killing Me Softly on my cassette player because Sia looks as melancholy as the vapor-laden clouds. The year we purchase overpriced tickets from a scalper to watch Julie and drown in the angst of the movie's forbidden romance. The year the young man slides in next to Sia and drapes an arm around her shoulders. The year our washed garments hang for days, listless, smelly, and damp on the clothesline in the veranda. It's the year we practice draping saris and strut on our driveways, pretending to be the year she whispers on the phone just once, I feel hopeless, with the 3-breath pause between the hope and the less. The year no one from her family will answer my knocks. The year Ma said Sia was married off quietly in another town. It's for the best. The year I ask, what's best about it? What about love? And she stands straighter to respond, yes, what about it? As if book life and real life are unrelated. The year she notices Sia's befuddled young man hovering and tells me, you are known by the company you keep. It's the year Ma and I gasp as the angry, swollen Ganges invades our home. The year we flee to the terrace above. The year I lean over the parapet. The year I watch my favorite things, shoulder-sweeping earrings, clogs, Pride and Prejudice, Romeo and Juliet, and tattered Mills and Boon romances float in murkiness.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you. I'm very fond of that story myself.
I can see why. It's really nice.
I was trying to bring out all the teen emotions the confusion, the angst, the whole idea of the idea of romance, and just the emotional roller coaster while things are happening around you.
Yeah. I can imagine the shock if your friend is married away quietly.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
It happens all the time.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Because it's always the parents who know better than you do. So what the person they pick is always better for you. So it's like, I've tried to, that's exactly what I was trying to bring out here. They seem to think they know better, and so they will do what they think is best for you. It might not be the best for you.
Well, yes, we know that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so quick. So she doesn't get to celebrate with her friends or have any the excitement that we
Well, because they want to
anticipation that
prevent,
we have in this.
yeah, just to prevent that other young man who they think is unsuitable.
Right, right. Yeah. Interesting.
Well, that came sort of from something that happened while I was in school, in high school, my last year of high school, and this happened to a girl who just came back to school one day, and she said, "I'm quitting because I'm getting married," and I'm like, "What?"
Oh.
I mean, this is something that was never spoken of in my home, so it was very surprising to me that a girl who's finishing high school, I mean, no college. I mean, for me, it was like, no college. I mean, all that experience of going to college, somebody's taking it away from you.
Yeah.
When she said, "I'm very happy," is what she said. So she believed that she would be happier married.
And maybe she was. For a lot of people, their choices
I
are
don't-
different from ours. And, you know, I can't
but
speak.
then it was not her choice, because it was a time when, this was in the 70s, it was a time when she was presented with somebody appropriate and expected to fall in line.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. And she did. So,
and she did.
yeah.
Yeah, and she did.
Thank you for bringing up the culture differences, because that's sometimes we forget we're such a modge-podge of different people in this country. Sometimes we forget that there
This
are,
was in India, of course. This was in India, of course, but still.
but still it's your background and it's what you're familiar with. And to bring that forward to us is a gift. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. But it did bother me. And I mean, I was pretty young then, but it still bothered me that this could happen to somebody. I'm thinking to myself, because I was looking forward to going away from home to go to college, that somebody had to just get married and she was happy with it. The two different things. A, you get married, and two, you're happy. I just couldn't accept it.
That's very true. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. And we will
Absolutely.
look forward to your reading and question and answer on Saturday, November 11th. Please join us then when we host Sudha. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. You can also find this and all our programs on the Dragett Arts YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/@DragettArts. And we'd like to thank our very many sponsors for making this program possible. Amy Lamb, Shelley Payson, Robin Rubendunst, Susan Belkin, Helen Fremont, Caroline Scott, Philip DeBow, Lois Welber, Anita Bonglies, Marianne Dornice Goldman, Galina Sakes, Anonymous, Diane Song, the Massachusetts Cultural Council Festival and Projects grants, and grants from the Concord, Dragett, North Reading, Westford, and Wilmington Cultural Councils, local agencies that are supported by the Massachusetts Cultural Council, a state agency. For more information about our programs or to become a sponsor, please email us at dragettarts@gmail.com or visit our website, dragettarts.com.